Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into it right where extreme celebrity drama slams into serious criminal law.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to pull out the key insights from this, well, explosive legal fight involving Ray J, Kim Kardashian, and Kris Jenner.
It's a fascinating situation.
It really is. You have a public figure's whole reputation on the line against these unverified, really sensational claims of federal crime.
And what this deep dive really makes us look at is the kind of legal accountability that snaps into place when, private fights go public, especially when they involve accusations as severe as, well, federal criminal activity.
Right.
We're analyzing that friction point. What happens when a celebrity narrative, which is often driven by clicks and, let's face it, shock value, just crashes headlong into the very careful requirements of evidence and proof you need in a courtroom.
So the sources we're digging into today, they're pretty much centered entirely on the actual defamation lawsuit filed by Kim and Kris.
That's our core text here.
Yeah, we're dissecting the legal arguments, the really dramatic counterclaims, and this extremely high legal test that's kind of defining this whole battle for reputation.
Let's jump in.
Okay, let's start with the trigger. Ray J's accusations, they weren't exactly quiet, were they?
Not at all. No whispers in the corner.
No. These were super public, broadcast on social media live streams, and just put out there to everyone as if they were established, undeniable facts.
And the claims themselves, the nature of the claims, seem specifically chosen for maximum impact, like institutional impact.
Yeah. We're
not talking about, simple fraud claims or arguments over a contract. He specifically alleged the family was the target of a federal RICO case.
Okay, let's pause right there for a second, because I think for you listening, we hear RICO thrown around a lot in the media these days.
It's become a bit of a buzzword.
It has. But what are the actual, legal implications when you accuse someone of being caught up in a federal RICO case? What does that really mean?
That's crucial context. So RICO, it stands for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act.
Right.
It is a very severe charge. Usually it's reserved for sophisticated, organized crime groups. Think mafia, large-scale drug operations.
Okay.
Legally, accusing someone of RICO suggests there's an ongoing pattern of serious criminal behavior. Things like extortion, money laundering, wire fraud, committed by some kind of organization or enterprise.
Wow.
So an allegation like that, it isn't just bad PR. It instantly triggers real-world institutional and financial fallout. Banks, business partners, regulators, they sit up and take immediate notice. It's not trivial.
That really puts the sensationalism into sharp focus then, because Ray J didn't just make the claim, he dramatically ramped it up.
He did.
He compared the supposed threat to the known massive legal chaos surrounding Sean Diddy comb.
Right, that comparison is very deliberate.
And the source material actually quotes him directly, warning viewers, the feds are coming. It's worse than Diddy. He used that specific comparison, it seems, to imply this huge organized federal investigation was underway.
Exactly. And according to the lawsuit Kim and Kris is filing, the motive they're alleging for these increasingly hostile and, frankly, explosive statements isn't rooted in any genuine investigation or evidence he might have. They're saying it's about personal resentment, maybe some self-promotion.
Okay.
The plaintiffs allege this is part of a pattern where Ray J strategically kind of attaches himself to their theme by making these wild claims, maybe intended to, boost his own visibility again.
And if we look at the timeline that's laid out in the sources, this wasn't just a one-off impulsive rant either.
No, it seems calculated.
Right. The plaintiffs describe these claims as strategic seeds, deliberately planted and then sort of watered over time. Back in May, he was quoted in some documentary suggesting that racketeering charges against the family would be appropriate, just floating the idea.
Kind of testing the waters, maybe?
Yeah. And then, just a few months later, that's when the big escalation happened. He went from suggesting it was appropriate to flat out declaring it was imminent.
That's a significant shift.
He stated in a live stream, apparently, that he was about to drop federal RICO on them.
And that deliberate, sort of drawn-out way of spreading such a serious allegation that really strengthens the plaintiff's argument in court that these weren't off-the-cuff remarks. They look like calculated statements designed for, maximum widespread impact.
Which leads us straight into the legal counterattack. Kim and Kris's core defense, which is laid out very clearly in their court filing.
Yeah, it's pretty unambiguous.
It's an absolute, total denial. They insist these claims are completely made up, fabricated, and presented without a single shred of proof.
And their key legal point, The assertion they're making to the court is that they are not and have never been the subject of any federal probe related to this.
Yeah.
They specifically state that no law enforcement agency, not federal, not state, not local, has initiated any investigation targeting them based on whatever Ray J is alleging. They're essentially forcing the issue legally, prove it, or face the consequences for spreading damaging falsehoods presented as facts.
So they're using this defamation suit to basically drag this whole mess out of the, let's call it the court of public opinion.
It's chaotic.
And into a real court of law. And this is where that legal concept you mentioned, actual malice, becomes absolutely central.
Exactly. It's the whole ballgame in cases like this. When public figures in Kim and Kris are undeniably public figures.
Absolutely.
When they sue for defamation about something that's arguably a matter of public interest, the legal hurdle they have to clear is incredibly high. They must prove actual malice.
Okay, but why is that bar so much higher for someone like Kim Kardashian compared to, say, a private citizen filing a similar lawsuit? What's the reasoning there?
Yeah, that's a really important distinction. That requirement comes from a huge Supreme Court case back in 1964, New York Times Co. v. Sullivan.
Okay.
And the core idea is this. In a free society, we need open, robust debate, especially about public officials and public figures. So the court said these figures have to accept a greater level of scrutiny, even criticism that might be harsh or unfair sometimes.
I see.
So to win a defamation suit, it's not enough for them to just prove the statement was false and it hurt their reputation. They have to go further and prove the person making the statement acted with this specific state of mind, actual malice.
In breaking that down, what does actual malice really mean in practical legal terms?
It has a very specific two-part definition. It means the defamatory statement was made either, one, with the speaker knowing it was false.
Okay, like deliberately lying.
Right. Or two, with what the law calls reckless disregard for the truth.
Reckless disregard.
And that second part, reckless disregard, that's usually where the legal battle happens in these high-profile cases.
So if Kim and Kris's team is arguing reckless disregard, what specifically do they need to show about Ray J's actions or his state of mind when he made those RICO claims?
They need to convince the court that he either had serious subjective doubts about whether his claims were actually true or that there were obvious reasons to doubt them, glaring red flags, let's say, and he just went ahead and published them anyway, ignored the doubts.
Okay.
You can't just, rely on vague rumors or some unsubstantiated gossip, especially when you're alleging something as concrete and verifiable as a federal IO case. That's not just an opinion. It's a statement of fact about the actions of the federal government.
Right. It's verifiable. Either there is one or there isn't.
Precisely. So the core of the plaintiff's argument here is likely that alleging a massive federal crime like UPO requires, at the absolute minimum, some kind of verifiable source, some document, some credible witness, something beyond just saying it dramatically on a live stream. And they'll argue that making such a huge claim with apparently zero, emails, subpoenas, official notices, witness statements under oath, anything that actually proves a RICO investigation targeting Kim and Kris is active or was seriously contemplated based on his info, then he's facing serious legal consequences for spreading what the court would likely deem harmful falsehoods of public figures.
And this isn't just like abstract legal drama or hurt feelings. There are real tangible harms mentioned in the lawsuit, right? Let's talk about the actual stakes for a family this high profile.
Yes, the lawsuit gets specific about the damage, and it goes way beyond just emotional distress, though that's certainly part of it.
Sure.
When accusations involving things like organized crime and federal racketeering pop up, they instantly poison public perception. Critically, they poison perception among key business partners, lenders, investors.
Right, the people who make their businesses run.
Exactly. We're talking about potential real damage to ongoing business ventures, maybe losing crucial endorsement deals, fracturing trust with financial institutions. That kind of accusation, true or not, tends to linger. It casts this long shadow that can seriously affect their ability to operate commercially long after the headlines fade.
And you also have the emotional and sort of relational stakes here, which feel unique because of who made the claim.
That's a really important layer.
This isn't some random online commenter. This is someone who used to be very close, very interconnected with the family. Doesn't that add another layer of complexity, maybe even perceived credibility for some people hearing the allegation?
It absolutely does. That previous intimate connection, in a way, weaponizes the false claim if it is false.
How so?
Because it makes the statement seem like it could be based on insider knowledge, even if it isn't. It gives it a veneer of credibility it might not otherwise have.
Right. I see.
That amplifies the potential damage significantly. So this lawsuit, when you boil it down, isn't just about getting a quick headline saying we deny it. It's fundamentally about regaining control over their narrative.
Right.
It's a very powerful legal move designed to demonstrate that even in this hyper-fast, often chaotic digital age, even people with immense fame and resources can be forced, eventually, to prove their explosive claims in a court of law or face the music.
So summing it up, we have this incredibly public, extremely specific accusation, federal organized crime, RICO, colliding head-on with the plaintiff's very calculated legal strategy.
A strategy using that incredibly high bar of actual malice.
Right, which they seem confident they can meet here based on the alleged recklessness.
And looking ahead, what happens next? Well, the focus shifts entirely to the discovery phase of the lawsuit.
Getting the evidence, or lack thereof.
Exactly. The court will compel Ray J, through legal procedures, to provide any shred of evidence he claims to possess supporting that RICO allegation. If that evidence just doesn't materialize, if there's nothing there from the federal government, no credible proof.
Which the plaintiffs strongly assert there isn't.
Right. Then the court is basically left with a pretty clear path. They can rule that the claims were indeed false and, crucially, were made with reckless disregard for the truth.
Which means defamation.
Which means defamation under the actual malice standard. And beyond just damages, that kind of ruling reinforces the idea that you can't just invent serious criminal allegations against people, especially for publicity, without facing real legal consequences. It could potentially serve as a strong deterrent against similar behavior by others, particularly in the entertainment world, where reputations are everything.
Okay, this brings us to our final thought, something for you, the listener, to really think about. When someone publicly accuses you of being targeted for a crime as incredibly serious and specific as federal RICO, something so damaging it flashes around the globe instantly, can the truth, even when it's eventually established legally, or maybe months or years later in a courtroom judgment, can that truth ever truly erase that initial poisonous hit to your public perception?
That stain that spreads so fast long before the legal truth even gets its boots on, so to speak.
Exactly. Can that damage ever be fully undone? That seems to be the core reputational dilemma really playing out in this case, waiting to unfold.